In order to properly take soil samples for soil testing, you want to make sure you have the correct materials and tools. Confirm that you have a proper soil test bag that has a plastic liner on the inside of it, a notebook for your own records to record the areas which you've sampled that reflect the same notations on the soil test bag, a proper soil test probe, plastic buckets, and a couple things I want to point out. Some remove the turf and the thatch from the soil test core. That isn't necessary. When you take the soil cores to the lab, they often run it through a screen which removes the plant material, thatch, and the leaf tissue anyway. Once the sample is received by the soil test lab, and generally you only fill your soil test bag to this amount, well, a subsample is taken from your soil test bag in a quantity of about a cup to half a cup. So, seeing as how this is the volume of soil being used for the actual soil test itself, and we're trying to get a soil test that reflects an area perhaps even the size of an acre, it's really important that your sampling technique out on the fairway or the green best reflects what the lab is going to utilize. Let's demonstrate the technique for taking a soil sample from a fairway area. In order to take a sample, all you'll need is your soil test bag, which is properly labeled to reflect the area in which you're sampling, and be sure to note that there are any unique features to the area. Is it an area of high turf quality, an area of lower turf quality? And make sure to, once sampling the bag, make some notes in your own paperwork for future referencing. It's also a good idea to have a plastic bucket to collect your cores as you move through the area, and of course you'll need your soil test probe. Think about the area you're going to sample and plot a grid in your mind of where you're going to sample, and generally you like to sample approximately every 20 to 30 feet to get a representative sample of that site. Okay, so once we've had those considerations in mind, take your soil test probe, insert it into the ground, and in this type of an area, a fairway or a rough or perhaps a collar or an approach, you want to sample anywhere from 2 to 6 inches depending on the expected root zone depth. Take the soil from the soil test probe and simply put it into your soil test bucket. One note when taking a soil test, again, it's not necessary to remove the plant material or the thatch, as that material gets sieved off at the laboratory. Once you've removed all the necessary cores, dump the cores that you've collected into your soil test bag. Generally speaking, you don't need to fill the whole bag. About 200 to 300 milliliters of soil is generally enough to provide a representative sample of the area. Before we take a soil test, and once you're on the putting green surface, it's important to visualize a grid pattern so that you're able to follow it and sample on a green every 10 to 15 feet. Sampling in a grid-like fashion will help ensure that the soil test results best reflect the conditions in your putting green root zone.